I'm Emily Mashak, and you are listening to Tuned into NoCo, Town Square Media's show that lets you know what matters in NoCo. I'm talking today with Jean Kiddoo, the chair of the FCC Incentive Auction Task Force, about local TV stations changing frequencies in the NoCo area. So thank you for joining me today, Jean.
Thank you, Emily, for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Now, before we get into today's topic, can you tell me a little bit about you? How did you get to be in your position, and what do you do day to day?
I am the Incentive Auction Task Force Chair at the FCC, which means I lead a group of incredibly capable and talented FCC staff to reorganize the broadcast spectrum. We're managing the change of frequencies of about 1,000 stations nationwide, and it's a 3-year project that we've been involved in, and we're coming to the close. And once that's done, I'm going to have to find something else to do, and I doubt I'll find anything this much fun. But I've only been at the FCC a few years. I was in private law practice for over 30 years and have really been enjoying my government service.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that. For those who are unfamiliar with the FCC, we here at the radio know all about it, but can you tell the listeners more about that organization and what it does?
Well, the FCC's primary job is to regulate the use of the nation's airwaves. Spectrum, radio spectrum, is a finite natural resource, and so we try to make sure that we use it as efficiently and effectively as we can for American consumers. And as you say, we regulate radio stations, although we're not here to talk about that, and also TV stations and the frequencies that they use to broadcast. So one of the things that we do in trying to make use of those airwaves efficient is to constantly be on the lookout for ways that we could perhaps rearrange existing uses to make them more efficient, to free up space, because American consumers are demanding more and more spectrum, more and more wireless capacity and wireless speeds on their devices. Our wireless services have become a critical part of American life in everything, and there are going to be more and more things happening as 5G services roll out. So we identified the TV spectrum as an area we could rearrange, and if we moved around about 1,000 stations nationwide, including in northern Colorado, we could free up some space for wireless services for consumers.
I gotcha. Can you explain that a little bit more? How does changing the frequencies free up this space? How exactly does that work?
Well, if we consolidate the TV broadcasts into a smaller area of the radio spectrum, we can sort of subdivide it, if you will. And the space that they vacate is cleaned up and available for use by other services. And we identified wireless broadband services and mobile broadband services as an area that we need more capacity. So by cramming in the TV stations in a more efficient way, we can subdivide the property, if you will, and create a whole new lot for wireless services.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Who will be affected by the changing frequencies in northern Colorado?
These changes affect viewers who watch TV with an antenna, meaning a rooftop or an indoor antenna on their TV. They will not affect viewers who subscribe to cable or to satellite services. But if a viewer watches with an antenna, they need to rescan their TV each time the change happens, which is not a complicated process, but it's one that needs to happen because the TV needs to find that channel at its new home.
Mm-hmm. How will they be able to know which channels are changing and when they're changing?
We require the TV stations to notify their viewers with on-screen text and public service announcements at least 30 days in advance. And if a viewer happens to miss those announcements and they try to tune to that channel after the change occurs, they'll see a blue screen. And the purpose of my talking to you today is to try to get the word out to viewers that if that happens, they should rescan their TV. We don't want to see them lose any service, especially in these times of their local news and weather and other local programming.
What does that mean to rescan your TV? How would one do that?
Well, anyone who watches TV with an antenna had to scan their TV when they first set it up with the antenna the first time. TV sets are not pre-programmed in the factory for local northern Colorado stations. And so when you plug in your antenna you go to your remote control to setup menu, and you go through a little series of buttons that does an automatic rescan or retune of the TV. And what that does is it means that the TV spends about 4 or 5 minutes scrolling through all of the channel numbers to find which ones are associated with local stations and programming those into the TV. And a rescan is essentially exactly that. You're doing, again, what you did the first time, which is to scan the TV using the remote control. It takes 4 or 5 minutes, and they should be good to go at that point.
Okay, so nice and easy.
Well, it should be, but of course we know that viewers like myself may have done it a while ago and may balk at using complicated buttons on remote controls. So we do have some help available on our FCC website, which is www.fcc.gov/TV rescan. There's information about why we're doing this, what we're doing, and how to rescan TVs. And for viewers who may need even a little extra help with a live human being to help walk through the process of doing the rescan, we have a call center that we've set up. It's open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern time. So available in the evenings or on weekends in English and Spanish. And the number for that call center is 1-888-CALL-FCC. That's 1-888-CALL-FCC. And they'll listen to the menu and press the 6 button for TV rescan information.
That's great. What else would you like listeners to know about these changes or about the FCC in general?
Well, we are most interested in making sure that viewers, as I said, continue to watch TV and not have any interruption in their service. We want to reassure them that we're doing this not just to drive them crazy, but to bring important new wireless services to consumers to power all of their many devices into the future. So we appreciate their help. Sorry for a little bit of inconvenience, but I hope it is only a little bit of inconvenience for them.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me today about this, Jean. It's been a pleasure to get the word out, and it's great to know.
Thanks, and we appreciate it, Emily. Thanks a lot.
Again, that was Jean Kiddoo, the chair of the FCC Incentive Auction Task Force. To learn more about rescanning your TV and if you'll be affected by the changing frequencies, visit fcc.gov/TV rescan.